to override the nonsense that's going on. And I think we're going to see a very different picture happening after that. Please God, may it be so.
All right, it is now time for Ira, who has a real treat for us today. Ira?
Sorry, I lost my unmute. Good morning, everyone. Um, as Harold pointed out, and you can see, I posted in the chat some terminology with some definitions of words that maybe most people won't exactly know what they mean. And rather than I have to spend a lot of time talking about them, I thought this would be a more expedient way to do it. Okay, so the new year, it's a new year. And so I was thinking what would be appropriate for the new year for my first offering. And I thought of Psalms that have Shiru Ladonai Shir Hadash, let's sing a new song. And it turns out that Bach, J.S. Bach, whom we've been talking about, wrote a motet that uses verses from both Psalms 149 and 150, which have Shir Ladonai Shir Hadash. So that's what we'll be listening to today. Before we get there, let me just say a few words about the period of Bach's life that this motet comes out of. Bach, as you know, was one of the most prolific composers of any era, but certainly of the Baroque era. He wrote literally thousands of pieces, both secular and sacred. And he was in 1723, and to put that in context, he lived from 1685 to 1750. So this was toward the end of his life. He was appointed the cantor of Thomas Cantor in Leipzig was the title of the post. It was an enormously prestigious and influential post in the musical world. Leipzig was a real center of European, German music at the time. And by taking this post, he basically became sort of in charge of music for the whole city. It encompassed being the head of the music programs basically in 4 of the major Lutheran churches: St. Thomas, St. Nicholas, and then to a lesser extent, the new church, the Neue Kirche, and St. Peter's. This was really the leading cantorate in Protestant Germany. During this time, Bach wrote cantatas on a weekly basis to be used as part of the service aligned with the church calendar, the Lutheran church calendar. I mean, this was an amazing undertaking. Imagine if Joyce Rosenzweig were writing major pieces of music every week to be performed at CBST. It was that on steroids. Many of these cantatas didn't actually survive, so we don't have all of them, but we do have many of them. And also during this time, he wrote at least 6 motets, which is different than a cantata, and you can look at the explanations of these terms in the chat. So these motets, it's not exactly clear what they were used for or what the occasions were. They could have been used at funerals. They could have been used at other occasions. But the motet that we're going to be listening to today, which is and again, please forgive my my German pronunciation. It's Singe dem Herrn eine neues Lied, which is sing unto the Lord a new song. And thank you, Harold. I was just going to ask you to put up the text. this uses, this motet is in 3 parts. Part 1 is setting of Sing unto the Lord a New Song, the verses from Psalm 149, verses 1 through 3. The second part is a setting, is the use of a chorale and an aria of a chorale, and a chorale is basically just a Lutheran hymn, a chorale that was written by Johann Grauman, and I think the date of the chorale is from the 1500s, if I'm not mistaken. And then the third part of the motet is verses 2 and 6 from Psalm 150. Harold, we're not seeing the text.
Okay, hold on. Let me reshare. Keep talking.
Okay, so there we go. So if you could scroll up to the top.
Wait, when I scroll, I lose it. Just keep, I think I'm going to put it in this chat. All we need to know is that the first part is from 142 verses from 147, and the second is verses from 150,
Okay.
correct?
Okay, so yes, so for the play in today, we're actually starting at the end, which is a little bit of a kind of weird, strange thing to do. But we're going to listen to the ending of the motet, which is the verses from Psalm 150. And then for the play out, we'll hear the beginning, which are the verses from Psalm 149. So I think
I'm going to put the text of the play in chat, and I'm now going to screen share. And I will just say that the text that he sets is the text Martin Luther's German Bible, which I'll talk about when we get to a lecture on the vernacular. It is as influential in the development of the German language as the King James Bible was in the development of the English language. Can we see?
Let me also, I'm sorry, let me also just say that, you know, I feel like I give such a sort of cursory, description of these things because of lack of time. There's so much more that could be said about Bach's church music and his cantatas and his sacred music, but for the sake of this class, it's really impossible. So let's just enjoy the music. The tarot song. Harold, the sound is kind of off.
Hold on a second. I didn't press the right buttons. Let me try something. Okay. Better?
Yes, better.
All right.
Great. Thank you so much, Ira. And there is a huge, as we call it, the sea of Talmud that is endless and without possibility of seeing from one end to the other. It's true, of course, about any deep topic like Bach or classical music in general, but Bach specifically. And as I told you, I had to skip over Bach to get to Beethoven. So I
Right.
I would love to get back to Bach with you.
So
Back to Bach with you.
one of the frustrating things for me here is that very often we can't hear the entire piece of music because they're 15 minutes long or 10
Right.
minutes long.
So maybe we should do a whole class on Bach and the Psalms, or a semester class, multiple sessions, not part of this class, so that there is room for you to do it. All right, let us turn to Psalm 15, and we're about to go into breakout sessions. But before we do, so to give you a little perspective on what we talk about with the lengths of the different Psalms, the shortest Psalm in the 150 book of Psalms has 2 verses, 2 psukim. That's very unusual, and there's only one like that. And the longest Psalm has over 170 verses. So the shortest is 2 verses, and the longest, I think it's 175 or 176 verses, which is Psalm 119. And Psalm 117 is only 2 verses. So you could see there's a huge range of how long a psalm can be. And most of them, and then there's a bunch that are in the smaller category, which are 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we've seen some of those, and today's psalm is also in the shorter category. And then there's a bunch that are in the 8 to 16 category, and those are pretty much make up most of them. There are others that are more than 16, but not quite 170 something. So there's a huge range of what makes a psalm. And some of it is, I think of it like music or like what you're all doing in your personal psalms. Sometimes the composer just needs time to get to develop ideas. And sometimes it's in the brevity that we get great depth. So both are possible in creativity. It's not that one is good and the other is bad. It's both have different energies to them. So the one that's 170 something verses long, we'll see how we're doing when we get there, how our class will approach that. But today's psalm is Psalm 15, which is short. I think it's 5 verses, if I'm correct.
Yes, it is 5 verses.
5 verses. So now we're going to break everybody up into groups of 3 for chavruta time. And in this time, read, first of all, 1 minute each, introduce yourself to each other. Make sure you tell each other something about yourselves so that you get to actually have information behind the screen. And then we're going to take 30 minutes, hopefully, or we'll see where we are with the time. And each read through the psalm line by line. One person read it. If you can in Hebrew, fantastic. And then try to say, what does this psalm mean to me? How do I understand the psalm? And we'll see how far you get. You all know the different kinds of questions we've approached, but just start with that. Try to understand this psalm. And then we'll come back together again, end the class, and then tomorrow I'll start actually teaching the psalm. So welcome everyone to Psalm 15. So Tasha is going to divide us up. See everybody, and we'll see you back